Then a groundbreaking global study counts 3,625 biolabs worldwide with massive oversight gaps. And it's tied to the illicit Chinese-linked biolabs on U.S. soil that could be engineered for a patient zero scenario to spark the next pandemic. The new global mapping study has been published in the Journal of Public Health, and it has identified 3,625 high-containment biological laboratories worldwide, the most comprehensive count to date, far exceeding previous estimates from the WHO and global biolabs due to rapid expansion and incomplete tracking systems. The research, it tallies 3,515 Biosafety Level 3 laboratories, which handle infectious agents that may cause severe or potentially lethal disease through inhalation. And then they found 110 Biosafety Level 4 facilities. That's the highest containment level for the most dangerous and exotic pathogens posing high risk of aerosol transmission. The key statistics include 149 countries. They operate at least one BSL Level 3 lab. 34 countries have at least one BSL Level 4 lab. The United States, we host 47.1% of global BSL Level 3 labs. That's the highest share, followed by the United Kingdom at 17.2%, with the two nations together accounting for nearly 2/3 of all BS Level 3 facilities. The U.S., we lead in BSL Level 4 labs with 17, followed by the United Kingdom with 13. 17 countries have only one BSL 4 lab. Transparency, well, it remains a major issue. Detailed geolocation and pathogen information is publicly available for only 955 of the BSL Level 3 laboratories. That's approximately 27%, meaning roughly 73% or about 2,560 labs do not disclose such details. The study, it highlights massive oversight gaps for dual-use research of concern, experiments with legitimate scientific purposes that, well, could be misused to enhance pathogen danger, with 91.6% of countries operating the BSL Level 3 labs lacking any guidelines or oversight. Only 8.39% of countries have formal training or guidelines in place. The analysis, it cites prior data documenting 309 laboratories that acquired infectious pathogens involving 51 different pathogens between the years of 2000 and 2021, including fatalities, averaging about 14 incidents per year globally. The study, it emphasizes the absence of a comprehensive global registry, standardized international oversight mechanisms, or mandatory reporting, noting that infrastructure for handling dangerous pathogens is expanding amid fragmented and inconsistent regulation in many of the regions we've discussed. The report, it calls for, quote, an immediate and complete global moratorium on gain-of-function research, along with comprehensive investigations into the growing number of U.S. and international biolabs, including their funders that may be conducting bioweapon research to prevent another man-made pandemic, end quote. The authors describe the numbers as, quote, striking, not just for scale, but for the massive oversight gaps, end quote. And they warn that there must be measures given the risk from undocumented facilities and potential misuse. In our next report, the House Intelligence Committee has a chairman by the name of Rick Crawford. He's a Republican from Arkansas, and he issued a stark warning in a recent interview that illicit biolabs on U.S. soil are linked to Chinese nationals and have been identified by the FBI as a national security threat that could be part of Beijing's effort to create a what they call patient zero scenario for the next pandemic, similar, of course, to COVID-19. Crawford, he highlighted recent raids, including one in California back in 2023 and another a week ago in Nevada at a vacation rental home near Las Vegas. That's a major metropolitan area, folks, as we know, and it's highly populated with citizens and tourists. And he questioned the setup. Quote, why would you have some illicit labs set up in an Airbnb? Except for maybe you're trying to create some sort of, patient zero scenario, that you might infect someone, that you might create another COVID-like scenario, end quote. He described the handling of the dangerous pathogens as, quote, careless at best and possibly deliberate, end quote, noting that the Las Vegas labs, their proximity is close to a population center and a high-value military installation. Quote, I have no idea what the operational use for this illicit lab was, except that it is in close proximity to a population center. It's also in close proximity to a military installation of high value, end quote. Crawford raised suspicions about the intent. Quote, why would you do it in such a slipshod way if it wasn't almost deliberately to try to maybe attract attention? Are they trying to send a message to us? End quote. He emphasized the need to strengthen counterintelligence. Quote, this requires us to double down on our counterintelligence posture, which has not evolved and kept pace with these threats that continue to evolve, end quote. Adding that he is, quote, not sure we're fully prepared for, end quote, the evolving challenges. On broader vulnerabilities, he pointed to long-term exploitation. Quote, the Chinese have been exploiting our immigration system for decades. Those family members are not severing ties with their CCP relatives, end quote. Regarding land purchases, he declared, quote, now as a U.S. citizen, I can go and buy property, and nobody really looks any sideways about it. But what they're doing is buying that land so that they can gain access to some sort of strategic asset, end quote. He went on to criticize universities for prioritizing revenue. Quote, they're not here to study the arts or literature. They're here to gain hard tech degrees, engineering, physics, biochemistry. And it's been to our detriment, end quote. And then he added, quote, what does that tell you about how powerful money is? That institutions are more consumed with their bottom line than they are with the security of this nation, end quote. Mr. Crawford framed China's ultimate aim, quote, their stated goal is to displace the United States as the preeminent economy, the preeminent military, the preeminent political leader globally, end quote. He concluded with a concern over motives, quote, I don't know if they're trying to create, as I suggested before, possibly a patient zero scenario where they can get out and create potentially an epidemic or, heaven forbid, a pandemic that makes it difficult for us to function. I don't know what the motives were, but I know that we can't continue to operate like this, end quote. The comments, they came during an appearance on the program Just the News, Not Noise. And they were underscoring ongoing FBI concerns about foreign-linked biolabs in the U.S.